Hello, my name is Corey Funk, and welcome to Funk's Film Review. Now, my phone is kind of laggy and things like that, and actually, once I get the new laptop going, I'm going to start filming stuff on that because, well, I don't want to use this phone anymore for it. But that's why I haven't done many reviews and all that, but I'm actually going to do what I will say. This is my top 10 of, even though it's a little late and all that, but top 10 of 2024. Now, I did all my best of certain years that I was born and all that, and now I have a new movie to put on the list of the top 10 films I was born, and that's the year of 2024. But I want to get through my through a couple honorable mentions, and I want to get through till I hit number one. This is going to be my top 10, and some of my honorable mentions of films I really liked. Some were surprising, some were... There's one movie I'm going to mention as a dishonorable, which bugs me. It's actually not my worst film of the year, but it was one of them. And it bugs me because Francis Ford Coppola made Megalopolis. And Francis Ford Coppola, after Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, is my next favorite director. Now, the movies, my favorite films of his are actually all came out. My favorite film of 79 was actually before I was born, Apocalypse Now. In 72 is The Godfather, and 74 was The Godfather Part 2. So he made three of my favorite films of all time, but yet he made Megalopolis. But now I'm going to start with my honorable mentions. Now is for movies I actually enjoyed. Number one, first honorable mention I'm going to mention is Lisa Frankenstein, directed by Zelda Williams, which is Robin Williams' daughter. Also stars Cole Sprouse and Catherine Newton, and basically resurrects a zombie and falls in love with it, but it still has an 80s vibe. It has a Tim Burton-esque vibe. I still really enjoyed it, and it's an honorable mention. The next honorable mention I'm going to mention is the movie Challengers with Zendaya. I'm usually not the biggest fan of her. I did like the Dune movies. I did like Spider-Man, but there's a lot of Zendaya movies I'm just not the biggest fan of. But Challengers actually showed her acting skills, and it's basically she's injured, and she teaches her husband and her husband's best friend. They have this kind of love triangle thing. And yeah, and then after that is a movie called Hitman with Glenn Powell, directed by Richard Linklater. And he ended up getting a Golden Globe nomination, and I love Richard Linklater. It's basically about this guy who works with the police. He's a teacher, but he ends up pretending to be a hitman, falls in love with one of the... But yeah, good movie, recommend it. And Transformers 1, which is a retelling of basically how Optimus Prime and Megatron met. And the weird thing about this, I never liked the Transformers movie since the 80s, since the first animated one. This one's computer animated, and it's done very well. And I don't like the Michael Bay Transformers movies. I like the original cartoon when I was younger, but Transformers 1 was kind of a shock, and I enjoyed it. Then there's a movie called Arthur the King with Mark Wahlberg, and it's basically about this dog that goes on this cross-country race. Inside Out 2 is another honorable mention of mine, which sequel is just as good as the original. It almost made my top 10. And last is a film called Suncoast, which is basically about, has Woody Harrelson and Laura Linney. I can't remember the girl's name, but she has a dying brother and all that. Laura Linney plays the overprotective mother. Woody Harrelson plays this guy who's in front of the hospital trying to... But yeah, Suncoast is a very well done movie. And now on to my top 10 list. Number 10. The movie that's in my number 10 is animated film from Latvia. And yes, this is my favorite animated film of the year. Surprisingly, last year my favorite animated feature film was a number one film. It was my top film of the year, which was The Boy and the Heron. I absolutely love that movie. But Flow is basically about this cat meets these other animals, and they go through this whole flood, and it's such a good movie, and it's my number 10. Number 9 is this movie starring Micah Monroe and also Nicolas Cage, who plays this serial killer that does spiritual weird stuff. and it's a horror film that does have a kind of a 7. If you like movies like Seven and Silence of the Lambs, I would recommend watching Longlegs. Longlegs is a very well done movie, and it is my number 9 of 2024. Number 8. This one was a lot of people's number 1, and I liked it, and it's a sequel. And it's directed by Denis Villeneuve, which the first one actually was higher on my list for in the top 10 of 2021, and Dune Part 2 makes my number 8. My number 7 is a film called September 5, which basically is about these reporters that are filming the Munich Olympics, and then they have this, the Munich shootings happen, and they start focusing on that part. And it stars Peter Sarsgaard, who I think is probably the most underrated actor in Hollywood. I love Peter Sarsgaard movies, and I'm still shocked to this day that he doesn't have an Oscar nomination. And number 6 is a movie starring Jesse Eisenberg, directed by Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, about two cousins who are total opposites who decide to go visit their grandma's home in Poland, and it's called A Real Pain. And I do recommend watching. Kieran Culkin will probably win Best Supporting Actor, although I do feel his role is more of a lead role. And A Real Pain hits my number 6. My number 5 is about two Mormon girls who run into this. They meet Hugh Grant, and it's kind of a horror film. And they enter this kind of a maze thing, and it's a test of faith. And the film is called Heretic. And Hugh Grant, I wish he got a bunch of nominations at other ones. I wish he was the 5th nomination. It was Hugh Grant's best performance. And so number 5 is Heretic. Number 4 stars Demi Moore, who's winning a lot of awards right now. And it's she got her first Academy Award nomination. It's kind of a body horror film. And it stars Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid, and it's a film that talks about beauty standards, and both Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley play the same person, but they take this and goes back and forth to them. They both did fantastic. And the movie, my number 4, is called The Substance. Number 3 is a movie directed by Brody Corbet. It stars Adrian Brody, Guy Pearce, and Felicity Jones, and it deals with, to me, it feels like it deals with the American dream, and it's Adrian Brody did such a good job in the film. It's a 3.5 hour long movie. There's a 50-minute break, and the movie I'm talking about is Brady Corbet's film, The Brutalist. The Brutalist hits my number 3. Number 2 on my list is kind of about, it's basically stars Gabriel LaBelle, J.K. Simmons, Matthew Rhys, who played George Carlin, a very quick, and I hope eventually he gets to be in a George Carlin biopic. I would love that, because for the short amount of time I want to see him play George Carlin. I would love to see him revisit that and do a George Carlin biopic. George Carlin is my all-time favorite comedian. Him and Robin Williams are my 2 favorites of all time. And my number 1 film, and the movie I'm talking about, my number 2 film is directed by Jason Reitman, and it's a film called Saturday Night. And it talks about the first airing of Saturday Night Live and what they had to go through. And Saturday Night is my number 2 film of 2024. My number 1 film is this guy's second feature film. It took home, it's the only other nomination the Oscars has got other than picture is adapted screenplay. It stars Ethan Harris and Anjanou Ellis-Taylor, and very farting on the other guy's name, but it's basically about these 2 boys who grew up in this reform school back in the Jim Crow era, and it's done in a point of view style, and I really wish it would have got more than just the adapted screenplay nomination. I'm glad it got the picture nomination. It was my favorite film that year. And it's a film by Ramel Ross. And the film I'm talking about, my number 1 film of 2024, is called Nickel Boys. I highly recommend, if you could find Nickel Boys anywhere, you watch the hell out of that movie. It is sad. It's beautiful. It's a masterpiece. And Nickel Boys is my number 1 film of 2024. And I'm going to do a full review and add it on to, of course, films of because I did my from 81 to 2020 film, which was Raiders of the Lost Ark, all the way to Boy and the Heron. And now Nickel Boys is added onto my list of favorite films of the year it came out, which is my favorite film of 2024. Now, let's go through the list again. Number 10, Flow. Number 9, Longlegs. Number 8, Dune Part 2. Number 7, September 5. Number 6, A Real Pain. Number 5, Heretic. Number 4, The Substance. Number 3, The Brutalist. Number 2, Saturday Night. And Corey Funk's Film Reviews favorite film of 2024, Ramel Ross's Nickel Boys. Thank you very much. My name is Corey Funk. You have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.